the 2015 KTM Duke 390. It's a pretty simple procedure. The hugger, our rear inner fender, it's held on with two 8mm screws. This gives you access to the lower shock bolt. Now use an 8mm Allen socket and a 14mm wrench and remove the lower shock bolt. Next, remove the upper shock bolt, which is also an 8mm Allen bolt. If you'll notice up in here, my wiring harness went across the bolt and you couldn't get the Allen socket in it. There was a little tie wrap. We just clipped the tie wrap right here and pushed it down out of the way. And the shock will be fully loosed in here at this point. The upper bolt simply slides out. There's a notch to take it out. Now that the upper and lower shock bolts are out, just reach in and remove the shock, and we're ready to install our new lowering link onto the bottom of the shock. Now you'll have to remove the spring from the shock body. I happen to have a press on hand. There's many ways to remove this. There's quite a few different spring compressors on the market nowadays and lots of ways to do this, but you have to compress it down far enough to remove this washer. There's a slot in it, and it just pushes out once you take the pressure off the spring. It comes out through this notch around the bottom. Once that's done, just release the pressure and remove the spring. Lowering is made easy with the Goodwin Manufacturing lowering link that replaces the bottom eye of the shock. It also comes with this toolkit that presses the bushing from the original lower and installs it into the new one. By clamping your shock into a vise, make sure that you have soft jaws so you don't destroy the bushings or any of the parts. Next, you want to heat up the lower shock eye because the factory uses a Loctite inside of the threads here. Now, take a 24mm wrench and loosen this jam nut up. And turn the jam nut back until it stops against the end of the threads here on the piston. Pull it up snug. And the rod will break loose, and you can unscrew the shock from the lower eye. Just remember the washer goes on top here. Next step will be to remove the bushing from the original eye, which you'll use this puller set to remove that bushing. First, take the set apart. Place the bushing in the sleeve. Put this through. Okay, turn it a little bit. Make sure that this sleeve is inside and this sleeve fits perfectly around here so the bushing pushes off and inside of this tube. Proper alignment before you start pressing is essential. Okay, so now the factory bushing has been removed from the original, and we'll install it into the new lower shock eye using that same set of tools. So now we're going to install the original bushing into our new lower shock eye. You're going to want to put just a little film of grease on this. You're going to put the tool through, slide it up on here. You're going to take this special washer that comes with the tool. You're not going to use the sleeve that we use to remove it. You're going to turn this over so this inset is on the bushing, just like this. And put your washer on. Make sure you can get this as square as you can before you start pressing. Take your 9/16 wrenches and just simply press this new bushing in. When it stops against the washer, the bushing is fully installed. The washer's a little bigger diameter than the inside hole, so it'll stop and place the bushing in the correct location. Now your mount looks like this and is ready to be installed onto the shock. Put your new eye back into the vise. Make sure that your nylon washer is on like this. Make sure that this washer is in place. Now with a small amount of Loctite on the threads, we're just going to install this. When you get close to the end here, this washer will have to be adjusted up onto the shoulder so you can screw the rest of the way in. I'm going to tighten the shock nut pretty good. That's the jam nut. Turn your shock straight. Okay. Shock is now ready to be put back together. It has our new shorter lowering block installed. All we have to do now is reinstall the spring. Reinstall spring in reverse from removal. So the process is quite easy to reinstall or to install our lowering kit. Now the shock is ready to be reinstalled on the bike. If you feel like you're not able to do this, pretty much any motorcycle shop, if you hand them the shock, and this piece would be able to swap the part out for you, and then you can reinstall the shock on the bike. Now that your rear shock is installed, you'll need to lower the front forks. How you'll achieve that is you will loosen these 3 Allen bolts that you see here on the triple clamps, and you will twist the fork a little bit and it'll slide up, lowering the front end. Be sure not to slide any further than the smooth part that's machined on the forks for the clamp. The forks should be dropped through the clamps about 20 millimeters to the top of the silver line.